This evening, first up, powering progress. Guyana Power and Light signs a US $15.6 million deal with Dominican Republic-based InterEnergy Group to modernize the national grid and finally curb those blackouts. Plus, tragedy and outrage. A 49-year-old West Coast Demerara man is charged with the gruesome murder of his 15-year-old stepson, which police said began as a family argument that turned deadly. Also, maternal deaths rise again. The Georgetown Public Hospital reports 9 maternal deaths so far this year, surpassing 2024's totals. The CEO blames late referrals from private hospitals. Meanwhile, defending the breakfast table. The National Breakfast Program pushes back against claims of unequal meals and inflated invoices, insisting the school feeding initiative remains transparent and successful. And overseas, an attack on Ecuador's president. 5 people face terrorism and attempted murder charges after gunfire struck the president's motorcade during nationwide fuel protests. Those stories and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for October 9th, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a 49-year-old laborer from Stewartville, West Coast Demerara, has been charged with the brutal murder of his 15-year-old stepson following a domestic dispute last Friday. Police said Balram Besasar, called Navin, was arrested on October 3rd and charged 4 days later with the murder of Sudesh Singh, also known as Joel. The teen was reportedly killed during an argument over a bicycle at their Stewartville home. According to investigators, the argument escalated after the suspect accused the boy of damaging his bicycle chain. Besasar allegedly ran into the kitchen, grabbed a cutlass, and inflicted several chops to the teen's neck. Singh collapsed under the house, where police later found his lifeless body with cutlass nearby. After the attack, Besasar reportedly walked to the Lenora police station, confessed to the incident, and was taken into custody. He appeared before Magistrate Singh at the Freeding Hoop Magistrates Court on Tuesday, where the murder charge was read to him. He was not required to plead and was remanded to prison until his next court appearance on October 10, 2025. The teen's body was taken to the Lenora Cottage Hospital, where he was officially pronounced dead on arrival before being transferred to the Ezekiel Funeral Parlor for post-mortem examination. Police have since launched a full homicide investigation surrounding the domestic dispute that led to the teen's death. On a different note, the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation has recorded 9 maternal deaths so far this year, surpassing the 8 recorded in 2024. Chief Executive Officer Robbie Rambaran revealed on Wednesday that most of the women who died were referred from private hospitals in critical condition. He noted that many of the patients who died came from other hospitals. They were never under the care of GPHC and were referred to them in some critical state. Rambaran criticized the growing trend of private institutions transferring severely ill patients only when their conditions have deteriorated beyond recovery. The CEO noted that sometimes hospitals would send the patients to JPHC and there is nothing different that the hospital can do to save them. Rambaran said he believed private hospitals like doing this because the death doesn't fall under their numbers. The GPHC head said he has raised the issue with the Ministry of Health and the hospital's board, calling for a review of the criteria used to record maternal deaths attributed to the institution. He also noted an increase in neonatal referrals from private facilities. Rambaran explained that while GPHC, as the National Referral Hospital, is mandated to treat high-risk cases, many patients arrive too late for effective intervention. Several recent cases are currently under review and will be forwarded to the Guyana Medical Council for further examination. In 2024, GPHC reported 8 maternal and 41 neonatal deaths, the lowest figures in its recent history. However, all maternal deaths that year also involved patients transferred from private hospitals in severe condition. Hospital officials says discussions will soon be held with private healthcare providers to address the issue and strengthen coordination in maternal and neonatal care. Moving on, Guyana Power and Light, GPL, has signed a US $15.6 million agreement with InterEnergy Group, a company based in the Dominican Republic, to help modernize the country's electricity system and improve power reliability. The two-year partnership will see InterEnergy provide technical support, project management, and expert advice as GPL works to build a more efficient and smart electricity grid, one that uses modern technology to reduce blackouts and manage power more effectively. As part of the deal, InterEnergy will help oversee major projects, ensure work is done correctly and on time, and train local GPL staff. The company will also review the performance of power plants and recommend ways to make them more reliable and cost-effective. Minister of Public Utilities and Aviation Deodat Indar said the deal came after rigorous negotiations and represents a win-win for both sides. He expects the partnership to yield tangible improvements in the electricity sector. GPL Chairman Maurice Gajadar described the agreement as a historic step in strengthening ties between Guyana and the Dominican Republic, adding that it shows Guyana's commitment to developing its infrastructure as its economy grows. Interagency Chairman Ronaldo Gonzalez Bunster said his company is proud to support Guyana's development. The deal aims to help GPL enhance its operations, mitigate power issues, and move closer to a more intelligent and efficient electricity system for all Guyanese. Stick around when we return. National Breakfast Program refused claims of disparities in East Coast school meals, and 3 women charged after a violent family dispute in East Penitence.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for doing surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. What began as a simmering domestic dispute exploded into chaos on Freeman Street, East Penitence, leaving 3 women from the same family facing multiple assault and property damage charges. A heated family feud has landed a mother, daughter, and daughter-in-law before the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where they were placed on bail. 24-year-old Amaya Haywood, her mother-in-law Alicia Melville, and her sister-in-law Condoleezza De Santos appeared before Principal Magistrate Faith McGusty, where they all pleaded not guilty to multiple offenses. According to reports, the confrontation stemmed from an ongoing domestic dispute that escalated into physical violence. Haywood is accused of wounding and inflicting grievous bodily harm on her mother-in-law, Melville. At the same time, De Santos faces charges of damaging household items belonging to Haywood, valued at over $450,000, and joining with Melville to assault Haywood. Haywood's attorney, Stacey Gooding, claimed her client was the victim of long-term abuse and acted in self-defense after Melville allegedly attacked her in her home. The lawyer said Haywood threw hot water during the altercation, burning both herself and Melville, and was later assaulted by other relatives. Meanwhile, attorney Kushana Jefford, representing Melville and De Santos, stated that her clients maintain a different version of the events and claimed that video evidence exists showing Haywood as the aggressor. Following the confrontation, Haywood's home was reportedly destroyed by fire, and police are investigating the actions of other family members. All three women were granted bail: Haywood on $250,000, Melville on $75,000, and DeSantos on $150,000. The case has been adjourned until October 17th for the reporting fixture. In other news, the coordinator of the National Breakfast Program, Mahendra Pagwa, has refuted claims that schools along the East Coast are experiencing wide disparities in meals provided under the government's feeding initiative. In a letter responding to recent criticism, Pagwa stated that the assertions that all 31 schools along the East Coast are affected is inaccurate and unfair, emphasizing that available verification records and field logs reveal no evidence of widespread irregularities. He acknowledged that while isolated incidents may have occurred at one or two schools, these do not reflect the overall performance of the program. Pagwa also dismissed allegations that caterers submit inflated invoices, such as charging full price for half portions, explaining that all payments are based on a fixed cost per meal and verified through a signed dietary tracker sheet by the head teacher, noting that the system prioritizes accountability and verification. Addressing menu differences across schools, he explained that while a standard menu was initially piloted in 2022, it was later revised to allow flexibility due to differences in supply availability and cultural food preferences. Schools now design customized menus with nutritional guidelines approved by the Carnegie School of Home Economics. The program's oversight mechanism includes daily monitoring by teachers and head teachers, unannounced kitchen inspections, monthly field visits, and feedback channels via QR codes and a hotline. Pagwa noted that the initiative, which now provides over 51,000 meals daily, up from 11,000 in 2022, has significantly boosted school attendance and student concentration. It also supports more than 388 caterers, 95% of whom are women, many retained from previous administration's pilot. Reaffirming the program's commitment to transparency and improvement, Pagwa invited concerned parties to report specific cases via the program's WhatsApp support desk for prompt investigation. Don't go away after the break. UK Conservative Party conference. Parties struggling to retain members as Reform UK rise. And Brazil's rainy season fuels dengue crisis as scientists turn to new tactics.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. UNICEF reports nearly 680 children in Haiti are now displaced, double last year's figure as gang violence, hunger, and instability worsen. Over 3.3 million children need aid, with rising malnutrition and school closures. UNICEF warns its operations are critically underfunded, urging urgent global action to protect Haiti's children. Prosecutors in Ecuador said 5 people will be charged with terrorism and attempted murder after an attack on the president's motorcade, Al Jazeera's John Holman reports.
This is how Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa's convoy arrived at a stop in Cañar, central Ecuador. And this is why. A view from inside one of the vehicles. Protesters attacked them with sticks, stones, and the government says bullets too. It's not the first time. It started after President Noboa's decision to end diesel fuel subsidies in the country several weeks ago. He says that will free up more than $1 billion of government money, and he's offered social compensation and transport subsidies to soften the blow. But the National Indigenous Federation, CONAI, says the measure will increase the cost of living for indigenous communities and small-scale farmers. In mid-September, they organised an ongoing national strike.
Al paro nacional de carácter inmediato e indefinido.
CONAI said that police attacked protesters who gathered for Noboa's arrival. He continued on his way afterwards, inaugurating a water treatment plant and speaking to an auditorium of school children, to whom he delivered these pointed remarks.
Today is the time to choose the future for our country. Today is the time to fight for development, to do so peacefully, intelligently and collectively. Do not follow bad examples, such as those who sought to prevent us from being here with you today and attempted to attack us. Such attacks are not acceptable in the new Ecuador.
The police arrested 5 people after the protest, said the Environment and Energy Minister.
They'll be charged with the crime of terrorism. We won't allow this. Ecuador says yes to peace, yes to work. These kinds of demonstrations, which are not peaceful, are not what we need at a time of progress and development.
Noboa had declared emergency measures in several provinces since he eliminated the subsidies. But there doesn't appear to be an end to the protests anytime soon. John Holman, Al Jazeera.
Brazil is grappling with the start of dengue season, a time when heavy rains create breeding grounds for Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, which spread deadly diseases such as dengue, Zika, and chikungunya. Al Jazeera's Monica Yannicure reports.
It's the start of dengue season in Brazil when heavy rains form puddles, creating perfect nurseries for Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. These deadly insects spread dengue, Zika, and chikungunya.
In 2024, Brazil faced a record dengue epidemic. The mosquitoes have adapted to insecticides and climate change is extending the season. We must act before the eggs hatch.
Brazil had more than 6 million dengue cases last year and over 6,000 deaths. Now scientists are deploying an army of unlikely heroes, mosquitoes infected with Wolbachia bacteria. These mosquitoes can't spread dengue, and they pass that trait to their offspring. It's mosquito versus mosquito in a biological battle.
And the clock is ticking. This year, 1.5 million Brazilians have already been infected with dengue, and more than 1,000 have died, even before the rainy season began.
To fight back, Brazil has launched 2 biofactories to breed Wolbachia-infected mosquitoes. The largest, just opened in Campinas by Oxitec, can produce 190 million mosquitoes a week, enough to protect 100 million people per year. The big innovation? A new way to deliver the mosquitoes. This cardboard box may look simple, but it's actually a portable mini biofactory. Inside are 200 Wolbachia mosquito eggs, ready to hatch once they reach remote areas.
We also have a source of food for the larvae to feed and then develop into adult mosquitoes. So what we do is that this box was designed to easily be activated.
The eggs hatch when tap water is added. Once grown, the mosquitoes fly out through a small hole and mingle with the local population. Their offspring may bite, but they won't transmit dengue. As climate change fuels longer, deadlier outbreaks, Brazil is turning not to pesticides, but to nature's own defense. Monica Yannicure, Al Jazeera, Campinas, Brazil.
UK Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has given a speech at an annual conference in Manchester. Al Jazeera's Rory Challenge reports.
How do you rescue a distressed asset? Having described her party as such earlier this week, Kemi Badenoch closed the Conservative Party conference in Manchester with her leaders' pitch to turn their fortunes round.
I stand for a government that takes less of your money and doesn't interfere in your life. where the state does less but does it better, where those who create wealth are welcomed with open arms, not driven from our shores, where reward matches effort, where Britain stands tall in the world.
But this year's Conservative conference is likely to be remembered for low turnout earlier in the week at what's always been a hot ticket event, a fitting indicator of the party's current relevance.
What has happened to the Conservatives? This is supposedly the most successful democratic party in the world. The natural party of government, as the Tories like to see themselves, has been winning elections here, and more than any other party, for the best part of 200 years, and yet they are now in real existential danger.
The numbers are grim. After electoral defeats last year, the Conservatives now have just 119 MPs, compared to Labour's 401. Look deeper and it's worse. In 2018, the Conservatives controlled 60% of local authorities in England. Now it's just 16%. Membership of all main parties has fallen, but for the Conservatives it's been off a cliff. In the 1950s, there were nearly 3 million party members. Now it's 120,000. Professor Tim Bale has been watching the Conservatives for years.
They're polling at 16 or 17%. That's the kind of territory they've never been in before. Their leader's pretty unpopular. They face problems both on their right flank from Reform UK and on their left flank from the Liberal Democrats and even the Labour Party. So this is a kind of unprecedented historical situation, I think, for a party that was the most successful party in the world.
Could they go under?
Parties are pretty resilient organisations. But yeah, I mean, the dinosaurs disappeared and perhaps the Conservative Party is a dinosaur.
Successive Conservative leaders seeking to counter the reform threat have moved the party increasingly to the right. In Manchester, Kemi Badenoch indicated something of a return to its tax-slashing, low-spending roots. But it's unclear if there's an electorate still listening. Rory Challens, Al Jazeera, London.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.